Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview. And as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me today is a 6 foot defensive back that is going from East Carolina to North Carolina, gonna play for Bill Belichick next year for the Tar Heels. I'm talking about the ball hawk himself, Gavin Gibson. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Beyond happy to have someone like yourself on. You have a great resume. I mean, you know how to win. You know how to succeed at the highest of levels from Maryland to East Carolina, and now obviously going to go to North Carolina and
Mhm.
continue that success and that streak of bowl game wins that you've gotten. And I want to talk real quick about some of the success that you've led your teams to in a little segment that I like to call Rewind and Recap. Just going to
Okay.
rewind the clock all the way back to your time at Maryland, where over the past 3 years, two at Maryland, one at East Carolina, you've gone to three straight bowl games. 2022 ended up going against NC State in the Mayo Bowl.
hmm
Fast forward a year later, you ended up playing Auburn in the Music City Bowl, big time game there. And then this past season, your first and only year with East Carolina, ended up going to the Military Bowl and ended up having a little rematch against NC State. And you guys ended up getting a big time win, I believe 26-21. So,
hmm
uh, absolutely incredible what you've been able to do. You know how to lead your teams to the postseason to get those extra games in your schedule. After playing for Maryland, where you went back to back bowl games, obviously those 2 years in a very tough Big Ten conference, being bowl eligible, that's no joke. You know how hard
Yeah.
it is to
Yeah.
be able to get that on your schedule. How would you say you brought that winning mentality and that winning culture over to East Carolina, where you guys were once again able to go to a bowl game?
Honestly, I feel like a big thing for me was the guys that I surrounded myself whenever I was at Maryland. You know, guys like Deontay Banks, Jacorian Bennett, Tarheel Steele, Bo Braid, all those guys, they're in the league now. Just being able to understand what they were doing whenever I was a freshman, sophomore, seeing how they executed at a high level, seeing how they prepared, seeing everything that they did on and off the field, just being able to carry that with me to East Carolina. I feel like that was a big thing for me, just being able to see those guys, how they prepared, and then see how they ended up doing in the league. And those guys have been cooking up in the league. I'm not going to lie. Like all of them have just been snapping, and just seeing how they carried that from college is just been a good thing that I'm glad that I was able to be a part of, honestly.
There you go. Obviously, great examples to learn from, know how to develop your game. And obviously, that's why you were able to go off for the Pirates this past
Yeah.
season. Career highs in pretty much every single category, 52 total tackles, 25 solo. You had three pass breakups, three interceptions on the season, one against FAU, one against App State, and one against Norfolk State. So, going against some really talented quarterbacks that you were able to pick off there. And obviously, one and only season with East Carolina, you're able to come in, be a starter, be a key part of that defensive side of the ball for them. How would you describe your role with the Pirates this past season, and how did their system really fit your game to where you could produce at this high level?
I feel like honestly, those guys just believing in me, and then them just knowing that they had faith in me to be able to go out and produce at a high level every week was a big thing for me. And that's really a reason why I decided to take that step to ECU, just going somewhere where I felt like I'd be appreciated, somewhere where I felt like I would have value and could bring value to the team, more value than I was doing before. And then obviously, just getting there in January, taking the off season very, very being focused throughout the off season and everything, and then going through spring and summer camp, and then just being able to, like I said, just ball out that season. I feel like that was the biggest thing.
There you go, man. You actually not only were you able to produce for yourself, but you helped bring this defensive back unit up in the rankings in a very tough American conference. After the past couple of years, they had been towards the bottom in the rankings when it came to passing yards allowed, interceptions, stuff like that. And you were able to help rise them to be one of the better defensive back units, one of the better secondary units in the entire conference. How would you say you were able to make an impact on the guys around you? You obviously talked about how they made an impact on you. What would you
Mhm.
say your impact on them was to where they could grow their game as well?
Honestly, whenever I first got down there, we all just meshed. Whenever I got there, I felt like they accepted me. We were able to create a tight bond and then just go out and compete every day. If whether that was practice, whether that was working out in the weight room, whether that was off-season training, whenever we was outside running, just being able to compete against those guys, building that bond together, and then just going out and being able to say that we trust each other, we gonna rely on each other to make plays, and then whenever they come to us, we just got to make them.
You definitely made a lot of plays this past season. I mean, obviously, I mentioned those three interceptions, got those three pass breakups, had a bunch of tackles, and I want to show off some of your best highlights, the best of what you did this past season, in a nice little segment that I like to call "Make That Play." Just
Okay.
talk to you real quick about my top three plays that I thought you had this past season. But obviously, I'm the spectator. I'm the guy that's
Mhm.
just doing my research, going through the highlights on YouTube, Twitter. You're the guy that's actually on the field. You're the one making these big time plays. So, what would you say was your top play from this past season?
Um, I feel like my top play has to be the pick six, man. My first collegiate interception, took it back to the crib for six, man. Just a dream come true. I always wanted to get that pick six at the college level, and then first game out, first interception at the college level, being able to take it back to the crib. I feel like that's definitely my top play from last year.
Hey, you and I agree on that one. That is for sure. Because number one obviously has to be that pick six against Norfolk State. Ball ended up hanging in the air long enough to where you could get right underneath it, picked it off, broke through a tackle attempt, also ended up using that shiftiness to get away, and boom, straight to the end zone to put points on the board for East Carolina. And number two, got to go with the one against App State. You ended up turning around to read the passing lanes perfectly to where you could undercut the ball and get another interception for your team
Mhm.
against a Sun Belt opponent that App State has been known to upset some big time teams.
Yeah.
You guys were able to show them what you were about. Obviously, you getting that interception. And then going against FAU, you had another interception there. Ball was overthrown and right into your arms for a big
Hmm.
interception. You used your IQ, got down for a touchback to put your offense, further downfield. So
Yep.
you obviously have the skills, you have the IQ, you know what you're doing out there. How would you say your abilities to defend these passing lanes were able to grow over this past year alone? Because you mentioned it yourself, that was your first career interception.
Hmm.
You were able to get three of those. Obviously, you had those pass breakups, like I mentioned. How would you say your ability to read those passing lanes really developed during your time with ECU?
Honestly, I feel like film study, a big reason, especially for the Norfolk State interception, was just film study. Whenever you see the clip, it looks like we were in man-to-man coverage, but actually we were in cover three. I was the curl flat defender, but just watching film, I knew that they would run that wheel route, so I just stuck with it, ran, and then he ended up throwing the ball right to me. But then just being able to play with good zone vision, being able to read the quarterback, being able to just have savviness in the zone to be able to throw him off, think I'm doing one thing, but really I'm doing something completely different. I feel like that's something that I am able to bring to the table.
Yeah, and you helped lead this Pirates team to an 8-5 overall record, 5-3 in a very tough American Conference. I mean,
Hmm.
you talk about Memphis, Tulane were nationally ranked, Army and Navy. You guys go against that. I mean, absolutely incredible teams, and you were up there towards the top of the standings as one of the best teams in that conference. And you ended up starting the season a little back and forth here and there, but then a 5-1 streak to end the season. What would you say went into that final stretch? What really seemed to click for you guys to where you could put on a couple of wins in a row?
Obviously we had some trials and tribulations going through the season with head coaching changes and everything like that. But at the end of the day, we just wanted to play for the seniors. We wanted to play for those guys that's been there and been building the foundation to have a bowl eligible season, to be able to go out and have a bowl game. So, whenever it came down to it, we were just like, at the end of the day, it comes down to us as the players. We got to come together. We got to focus in. We got to make sure that every day, even though we don't feel like practicing, we got to stick it out. We got to grind. We got to practice because at the end of the day, we can still go to a bowl game and we owe it to those guys that's been laying the foundation for 4 or 5 years.
There you go. And that 5-1 stretch there at the end did
Mm-hmm.
lead you guys to a bowl game. And obviously, we talked about those two bowl games that you had with Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
where you got that experience there. You know what it takes to compete in these high-level bowl game opportunities. What was your mindset entering that military bowl against NC State? And what was your message to your teammates around you?
Honestly, going into the bowl game, I had already played NC State before. I was familiar with those guys, and obviously being a North Carolina kid, I knew a whole bunch of those guys on the team. So I was just going into it like, they think we're the underdog. We know that we're not the underdog. We know we can do. We know that we can compete with these guys at the end of the day. And for me personally, I know what it is with NC State and me. I'm 2-0 against NC State. Can't lose to those guys. So I told him, I was like, at the end of the day, we can't lose to these kids. Like this they want to call this a rivalry. It's going to be the cross state rivals, but at the end of the day, we just got to handle business and go out and compete.
Yeah, there you go. And obviously, you guys got the win 26-21, beating the Wolf Pack there. And after the season, you put your name into the transfer portal and are now heading to the ACC,
Mm-hmm.
back to the Power Four level to compete with North Carolina under new head coach Bill Belichick,
Yes.
which still is surreal to me to be saying that he's a college coach, but
Mhm.
he's going to be your head coach entering next season. So, what what would you say North Carolina really fit as far as your needs and requirements that you were looking for when you were trying to find a new place to call home?
Honestly, just feeling like taking the next step for me to be the best player that I can be, the most successful that I can be, and obviously Bill Belichick coming to the collegiate level and being a head coach, like that's the greatest head coach of all time, and being able to play for him, that's just a 1 in a million chance. So if I have the opportunity, then I feel like I would be kind of dumb not to take it.
Oh yeah, I mean he's got all those Super Bowl rings for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he helps you get an ACC championship ring, make
Yep.
it to the national playoffs, all that stuff. And obviously he's got yourself, he's got a whole lot of other great recruits, and you've been able to play alongside a lot of great talents between your time at East Carolina and Maryland. I know you got to play with a good friend of mine, Quayshawn Fuller at Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
that I went to middle school with, which is crazy because I remember when he was little and now he's twice my size, so it's insane.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know a lot of great players that maybe I don't know about that I should reach out to, have on the podcast for a great interview, get their names out there a little bit more, just like I'm doing for yourself. Uh, so that's why I have this segment that I like to call "Who's Up Next." This segment, just give me some names that I should reach out to, check out their numbers. Two rules though. First of which, whoever you recommend got to help me reach out, got to help me get them on. And number two, you got to give me at least one name where they were not a teammate of yours at East Carolina this past season.
Okay. Not a teammate of mine last year. Well, I was gonna say Rajay Harris because he had that long run in the bowl game that ended up being the walk off for the bowl game win. But if we're not gonna say somebody from ECU,
Oh,
um,
you can give ECU guys also.
okay, well, yeah, Rajay Harris for sure. He was running back last year, and he was one of those guys that I was talking about, just building the foundation for ECU. He'd been there 4 or 5 years, and then being able to play that last year, especially in the bowl game, getting that walk off. It was like a 70-yard touchdown run to put us up. But he's definitely a guy that I would reach out to. And then I'm trying to think somebody that I didn't go to school with at ECU. Mm, I say my dog Ty Felton, man. He was a receiver at Maryland. Me and him were together there for 2 years. He is class of 21 though. He's actually just finished up his combine, finished up pro day, and now looking for somewhere in the league to find home. Hopefully he gets drafted this upcoming draft. So that's somebody I definitely reach out to, see how he's doing with that whole process.
Oh yeah, those are two names. I absolutely love them. I've reached out to Rajay. Was supposed to have him on, and now he's kind of big timing me. Won't answer my text anymore. I know he's big time. I know he's going to
Yeah.
the NFL, so I know he's a busy guy. And Ty Felton, man, that dude had some crazy touchdowns for Maryland this
Yeah.
past season. Checked out the games. I mean, that dude is definitely going to get drafted. There's no doubt in my
Mhm.
mind.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometime soon, within the next year or two, you're going to be joining the ranks in the NFL as well. And obviously, you're attacking this offseason to go into this year with North Carolina, the best version of yourself to get that
Yeah.
ACC championship, make it to the national playoffs. How are you really attacking this offseason to improve your game to where you can go in and be a dominant defensive back for the Tar Heels?
Honestly, feel like Coach Belichick, the way that he's been breaking down everything, he's like, I don't know if you've seen through social media, but we don't have numbers on anything. We're keeping it very fundamental, basic, down to the book. One thing he told us whenever we first got there, he said, if you're ever in a tunnel and you see light ahead, he said, it's not the end of the tunnel, it's a train coming to smack you. So right now we're just keeping our heads down. We just grinding. Me personally, I'm just working on becoming the best person myself on and off the field. Handling my business, whether that because like Bill Belichick, he coming from the NFL, he's very pro. Like you got to handle your business, you got to do what you got to do, you got to be on time to stuff, and just be a professional if you want to be a professional at the next level. So that's something that I've definitely been working on too, coming to UNC, and that was another big reason why I decided to take the step to come here.
There you go, man. That has to be one of the best quotes I've ever heard. It's a train coming to smack. I'm gonna have to remember that for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely can't wait to see you get some more interceptions next season in the ACC for the Tar Heels. Beyond excited to have had you on. Obviously, you've done some great work throughout your career so far, and can't wait to see you end up one day making it to the NFL level. And I will remember you and have a autographed jersey hanging up on my wall behind me,
yep,
hopefully one day soon. So
for sure.
thank you so much for taking time out of your day, man. I really do appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.